everybody. This is Lisa Wright, and you are listening to my Anxious Speaks podcast, the right show for you if you've ever wanted to hear a different perspective about your everyday life, or if you're learning to think outside the box. Thank you for joining me once again, my faithful listeners. Apologies for the delayed episode, but I assure you it's worth it. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, and share it to your friends and family. As always, there is a lot to unpack in our discussion today, so sit back, relax, and let's take a hike on this peak. I love learning from children, just observing their carefree way of life. Most adults wish to go back to being children. Living with our parents without paying rent. Pun intended. I think our issues started once we grew out of the innocent mind of childhood. Imagine a child learning to talk. They are never scared that they are not talking correctly or they are not pronouncing a word right. Or even when they are learning to walk, that child will fall down 20 times a day, hit their head, and cry. But will they ever stop trying? Never. In fact, they go so hard at it that in the process of discovering how to walk, they start running. And God help you that you don't have breakables around your house. But here's the beauty of it. They don't count their falls as failures. Neither do we. Or their parents. Mags will just rub their head and tell them, oh, get up. Don't cry. Thomas Edison once said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. It's a very famous quote, really. We've all heard it before. How often do we actually sit down and understand the reality of that statement? Being able to lose sight of your failures and focus on the end goal. I'll take us on a detour, little story time. When I was in secondary school, for our out-of-country listeners, it's called high school, right? I took part in a robotics competition with two of my classmates then. The task for the qualifying round was to build a robot that could follow a black line. So in preparation for the competition, as usual, my team and I were busy building and coding the robot. There were so many times we had to take the robot apart because maybe a motor wasn't in the right place to allow it move, or a cable was blocking one of the sensors or something. We kept making adjustments and troubleshooting the code, breaking it down in steps, taking into account blocks code that did make it move, those that did. And I'm not even going to bore you with the nerdy stuff. But it was a sight that most students would come out to observe during prep time. And eventually, when the robot followed the line as coded, I'm sure the entire school heard us screaming in excitement. So right now, many years later, I can't remember the number of times the code failed, the number of times the robot tipped over, what mistakes we even made in the process. All I remember is we made mistakes, we fixed them, and the robot did what it was supposed to do. And yes, we won the competition as well. Over time, I noticed that as adults, we have constantly redefined failure to the point where failure defines us. And the system doesn't exactly support us making mistakes without penalties. But then that makes us become so afraid to take certain steps because we are scared of failing. And I say this because I was like that too, until I grew a different perspective and looked at it from a different kind of lens. So I'll just invite you all to my otaku side for just a few minutes. Just bear with me for a few minutes, right? So there's a category of animes or mangas called isekai. Trokkun to the rescue. So in isekai animes or mangas, there's a character that usually dies and either rewinds to the past or goes into a world of a book or a game. that they finish reading or playing, respectively. And because the characters already played the game or read the book, they know how the book ends. And probably their own character ends up dying in the book. What such terrible luck. But because they know every scenario, they know every other character in the book, especially from a third person point of view, they know what to say that would kill their character, and thus they know how to avoid it. Picture yourself in all those Back to the Past kind of movies. Imagine you waking up as 5-year-old version of you, but with 20-something-year-old you information. For me, I would definitely be rich because I will make a lot of good stock and foreign exchange choices. The FBI will come hunting for me. There are so many things that I would do, like decisions that I would make, people I would be more eager to meet, experience I would love to relive. And I would do it with all the confidence in every bone of my body. Why? Because I know the when, the what, the why, and the how of the future. I have the information. I could literally rule the world with that information if I wanted to. But here's where I'm going. With this kind of imagination, I tested out my last year of school, playing as if I was in a role-playing simulation game. Yeah, this was a very, very dangerous thing. And I had known the lecturers. I had met them before. They had probably taught me in my earlier years. I knew their teaching or question styles. I knew where I had made mistakes before. Probably I didn't ask enough questions on a particular area. I didn't study enough on a particular topic. I know the whole, oh yeah, there are some people in your set who are better with calculations. Some people are better with, research and reading kind of stuff. So with that information at my disposal, I saw my life as an adventure. And I kid you not, I enjoyed every bit of it because I found myself gathering enough information to help me take better decisions, follow the right path, and pass. I realized that you'd become less afraid of consequences and get even bolder when taking decisions because you have all the information necessary to take those decisions. And even when I made mistakes, I didn't fall into my shell because I'm like, if I was playing a game, I would just probably restart the game or I would just continue from where I stopped, but I wouldn't stop playing. If anything, it would make me go further and be like, okay, I made this mistake before. How can I not make it again? And I applied it to my tests. It was so funny because with all the tricks I learned along the way, by the time I got to exam period, it seemed like I was a pro at it. That is literally how people become pros at games. They play it so hard and they fail so many times. All you know is this person is a successful gamer. You don't know the number of times that they died inside the game prior, number of, terrible flops that they made. But that's my point. Learn to forgive yourself when you make a mistake. Give yourself the time to get up and continue. In all honesty, where are you running to? What are you in a hurry to do that you can't take that time out to heal, to assess your mistake and then prevent it? I think it's an epidemic that we have in our generation. No offense. But like trying to get rich and blow quickly. You don't give yourself time to build tenacity, to go again and again and again. Because that is what that's what it does. When you make mistakes over and over again, you build the rigor. And there might not always be opportunities to do over or restart in a game. But if you actually choose to learn from your mistake, you would even be able to serve as a guide for someone who would be following that path again. You know how to avoid it, so you can easily tell them, oh, so this was what happened and this was how I failed. So you can decide not to do this and avoid that mistake. But learn to upgrade from the fall, okay? Stop counting mistakes as failures. Once you start seeing your mistakes as stepping stones rather than failures, you'll definitely be able to arrive at your desired results. That's it for me, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, tell your friends to tell their friends to tell their friends. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Till then,